Hi, I'm Alex Paulton. I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Talking Timepieces, where we talk about watch collecting and horology. Today we'll look at a piece from the collection, this Omega Seamaster GMT. I bought it to scratch the itch that was left when I sold my Explorer 2. I thought my Breitling GMT or my Frederic Constant World Timer or my Mont Blanc Geosphere would scratch the itch, but I realized they didn't have a sport GMT, and so this fit the bill. And as a niche watch, I would say this is a superior sports GMT to the Explorer 2, but I do believe that the Explorer 2 is a better all-around watch. So as I've often said, if you're going to have a one-watch collection, get a Rolex. And an Explorer 2 is a fantastic all-around watch because it's also a GMT, but you can wear it with a lot more clothes than you could with this Seamaster. Although I put it on an Aquaterra strap, it looks really sharp, in my opinion. So, yeah, at a third of the price used, I picked this up for less than $3,000. And it's a fantastic piece. Waterproof, rugged, true GMT. In fact, let's turn the camera around and take a look. Oh, before I do, please remember to subscribe. It really helps the channel. And once I can start live streaming, we can have a live discussion about all of these things. So, turning the camera around, let's look at this thing. Here's the Omega Seamaster GMT. The reference number is 2535.80.00. The thing about the Seamaster GMT, this specific model, is not only is it a very cool GMT watch, it's also one of the first generation Omega pieces with the new coaxial escapement. Well, not new anymore, but at the time it was new. And essentially, this being the first generation, it's got a modified ETA 2892. They called it the Omega 2628, but it's basically a modified 2892. But it's modified with the coaxial escapement. We'll flip it over and take a look in a second, because another advantage of this watch is that it has a display back. So, I said about in the headline of this video that, is this a better alternative to the Explorer 2? I believe so. Now, I have a video on the Explorer 2. I've owned an Explorer 2. I've owned an Oyster Perpetual. I've owned a Submariner. But one of the things about Rolexes that I pointed out is that they're great if it's a one-watch collection. If you've got that Explorer 2 and it's got to do double duty as a dress watch, a sports watch, a casual watch, then yeah, it's better that it has a more classic look like the Explorer 2. But if you've got a collection, then if you want a rugged, durable, waterproof GMT sports watch, this is better at that than the Explorer 2. Now, this is not as versatile as the Explorer 2 as far as dress goes, because the Explorer 2 is basically a black-faced watch. But then that's why I was saying about a collection. If you've got, say, a Speedmaster, or I sold my Speedmaster, I've got a Speedsonic still, but if I wanted a big black-faced watch, I'd put on either my Panerai, or I'm getting my hands on a double chronograph, IWC double chronograph, which I'll be using in my How Does a Chronograph Work video upcoming. But the point I'm trying to make is if you've got a collection, then you don't need a one watch does everything watch. You want to have a watch that's good at that thing you want that watch to do. Now, in this case, as I was saying, it's a really great watch in the case of being a sports chronograph. Now, here's the movement. Let's zoom in on that. And as I was saying, here we go. It's the modified ETA, but as you see, it is a free-sprung balance, and yeah, very well decorated, rhodium plated, and you could tell they're proud of it because at this point, Seamasters did not have display backs, but this one's got a display back, and let's contrast it a little bit with a modern coaxial movement. I've got a my Globemaster annual calendar here, and you'll see this has also got the coaxial movement in it. In this case, it's a full bridge, but it's also free sprung, and so essentially these movements have the same balance system in it, an escapement system in it. This is just the Omega version, and this was the first generation that they made from the modified ETA. Now, let's zoom in a little bit more just so you can get a better look at that, how that looks. It's just a beautiful piece. It really is. And especially when you consider you can get this for less than $3,000 used, it really does, show up more expensive pieces because the expensive piece doesn't do more than this does. In fact, I believe this has a higher waterproof rating than an Explorer. And it also does everything the Explorer 2 can do. But I'm going to stop picking on the Explorer 2. I could point out quite a few GMT watches that this is superior to because, for example, there are a lot of watches that call themselves GMT that don't have a flying hour hand. See, so for example, in the case of this, or any good GMT watch, and the Explorer 2 is a good GMT watch as well in that sense, the red arrow is pointing to the 24-hour dial for the second time zone. If you notice, they're both set for the same time right now. But then when you get to where you're going, you can simply pull the movement, unscrew it completely, pull the movement out to the first position, and you can change the hour without hacking the mechanism. You see, so that way, wherever you go, you can adjust your local time with the big hand, and then your home time will always be displayed on the second hand. And then, of course, this is a Seamaster diver, goes quite deep. And as I said, if you want a rugged sports GMT, you can't go wrong with this piece. I have it currently on an Aquaterra strap. Ironically, I put it on the Aquaterra strap, so give it a little bit different look than the standard Seamaster rubber strap. And I also use it a lot with a NATO, and of course with the metal bracelet that it came with. So let's take a quick set of measurements. And we're looking at, this is about a 41, and lug to lug, it's 46 and change, and 14 and a half, which is a little thick, but it is a diver. Now, let's see what it looks like on the wrist. Wristwatch check. I'm currently wearing a nice vintage Valjoux 7733 based chrono. One of the ones using off-the-shelf case, face, and movement that were very prevalent in the 70s, but the nice thing about them is they have very cool individual design, very funky, fun watches to wear. And as I've said in my other video, vintage watches are a great, let's put it here while I take off the other, vintage watches are a great way to explore horology, have fun with have fun with various watch technologies and complications, and in all in all, just have fun with a watch. I paid less than $300 for this watch, and it's fun, cool, and funky, something to wear casually. Here's a quick Loom shot. What's interesting about this, of course, is since it's the GMT, that little hand floating around the 7 o'clock is the GMT hand, so you can easily tell the difference between all of the hands, even at night. So yes, it's a very, very nice watch to wear with a bunch of different straps because, it's not a strap hog like the Speedmaster, but as you see, you can get very versatile. So let's throw this on the wrist. See? Very nice piece. It sits well. You know, as we know, the twisted lugs always work well on this. And just a good-looking watch with hacking seconds, GMT, flying hour hand, waterproof, and the bezel rotates. So let's turn the camera around and close out the episode. So that was the Omega Seamaster GMT, a fantastic sports GMT, arguably the best you can get for less than 10K. And like I said, a viable alternative to the Explorer 2 when it comes to a sports GMT. And, well, like I said, a great way to fill out a collection with something that is interesting both functionally and horologically. Thanks for taking the time. Please subscribe and have a great day.